people think that they're on this road that diabetes is just something that's going to happen to everybody. Well, that's not true. That didn't happen, just 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Diabetes was unheard of. And now everybody has it. Kids have it. Adults have it. Type 2 diabetes is prevalent everywhere. And it's because of the diet we're eating. And it makes sense now that when I look back at it, at the time when I was consuming it, it didn't click in. But now looking back at it, it's like there's sugar in everything that we're consuming. They have all our food is processed. All of it is, it was been man-made, and it's all full of carbohydrates to the point where you can't get hardly anything at the store that doesn't have some sugar in it. You can't even get vitamins that you're not chewing. I mean, whoever took a vitamin because they thought it was sweet and tasty, right? But they put sugar in vitamins so that you're addicted to it. So you're taking vitamins that you think is improving your health, but your blood sugar is up, and you end up taking medicine to deal with your blood sugar because everything you're consuming has this garbage in it.
John, how did you find carnivore?
I found Carnivore kind of by accident, to tell you the truth. I was surfing YouTube, and I was actually looking up YouTube channels on gardening, and I found a lady on there that her channel is called Roots and Refuge, and she did a health update, and she was talking about her journey and health and how somebody had led her to the carnivore diet, and how that diet had completely changed her health, and completely improved, and did all kinds of things for her, which got my attention. I was like, really, this is kind of interesting. What's going on with this? So I started digging around, and started Googling, or not Googling, but YouTubing, and I put in the carnivore diet. Of course, you put that into any YouTube search bar, and the first thing that's going to pop up is Dr. Ken Berry. So I started watching a lot of Dr. Ken Berry's videos, and there's quite a few of them. And so just deep dive through Dr. Ken Berry's videos. From there, I found other carnivore creators, Sean White, Intentional Carnivore. Carnivore Kip was a new channel that he had just started about that point. I found some other channels out there, and I started watching their content. And this went on for a couple weeks where I was just really deep diving the diet. And then I sat down with my wife. She's a registered nurse, and we talked about the diet, and we talked about things, and we were talking about we wanted to lose some weight, and that was our driving focus at the time, was just weight loss. And so we decided to start the diet on March 1st. So March 1st, 2023, we started the diet. Pretty much jumped into it because I didn't really eat a lot of sweets in per se anyways. I consumed a lot of sugar, but I didn't have a lot of sweets in my diet. It wasn't like it was consuming a lot of, cakes or donuts or anything like that. But I did consume quite a bit of soda. And that was probably one of my biggest crutches, is I consumed a lot of sugar through soda. And so cut all that. And then, in the first week or so, I started feeling immensely better, and started losing some weight. Within 2 weeks, I was down like 15 pounds, 15, maybe 20 pounds. And that was all water weight. And I started feeling, a lot better. And the wife had lost some weight, and we were both doing really good on the diet. And that's how we got to the carnivore. And from there, we just kept pushing forward and losing weight. And then about a month in or so, I realized that I don't even care if I lose weight. If I can feel like this, for the rest of my life, I don't care if I lose another pound of weight or not. The health improvements were dramatic by this point. But that was my initial starting into the diet. It's not the first time I've dieted or tried to lose weight or dealt with conditions like this, and this has definitely been one of the best ones.
So I'm very interested. You mentioned your wife's a nurse.
Hmm.
My wife's also a nurse. When you brought it up to her at first, what was her reaction? Was she like, "You're crazy," thinking about this kind of thing?
No, not really, because we had both, even before she was a nurse, we were both pretty, we've always had a standpoint. We didn't want to take pills. We didn't want to take medicine. Um, we don't want to consume anything into our body that we shouldn't be, and so we were always in that mindset. I wouldn't call us anti-vaxxers, but we didn't particularly care for a lot of the vaccines and stuff going on. So she was pretty open to the idea. Um, I think she thought I was a little crazy in the beginning, but it was worth the shot.
And so is she still doing it too?
Absolutely, absolutely. She's lost about 40 pounds on the diet, and I've lost 80 pounds. Um, as of the last couple of days. I haven't weighed myself for November. I'm on a BB and beef butter bacon eggs challenge with one of my subscribers, and so we're not weighing for the month of November. So
Nice. And that's some substantial weight loss just since March.
yeah.
What other health improvements have you seen? You mentioned that, if you never lost another pound, it wouldn't matter to you. So, like,
Hmm.
why are all those other health importance so big for you? Improvements so big for you?
Well, the biggest one's probably is I'm no longer diabetic. My A1C went from 7.1 down to 5.7 in July, and I'm sure it's even lower now. But I haven't had another blood test, so I'm thinking about doing one. Um, so that was a big one because diabetes had shown its ugly head over the last couple of years and was pushing into my life. I was on metformin um, on a daily basis to keep my blood sugar levels down, and pushing ever and ever closer to probably having to start taking insulin. So being able to reverse that was a absolutely a huge one. Overall, my health, as you're aware, and everybody who's been on this diet, the once you get rid of the inflammation and you get rid of the water weight and you no longer have the pains. I mean, I'm pushing 50. I'm 49 as of this last August, and I thought these were growing old pains. I thought, I'm getting old, and that's why I have pains in my back, pains in my knees. You know, wake up in the morning, you're feeling sluggish, and you're kind of dragging yourself out to go do the day. And after a few weeks of carnivore, I was sleeping better. I was waking up earlier. I was feeling better. I didn't have any more pains. Um, unless I get off diet, which I've done a couple times where I, ate something that was a little off diet, and I woke up the next day feeling it. I haven't had any of those pains. And then on top of that, I my blood pressure has dramatically reduced over the time. And I have a video on this on my channel, but um, if I was taking my blood pressure pretty much daily, and I've slacked off on that lately, and I need to actually get back into the habit, but I was taking my blood pressure every day, and you can watch my blood pressure just drop on every day, and average out over every month as I was on the diet, and it just got down. And then it actually got to a point where I was getting so low I started getting dizzy and had to come off of some of my medication. And then you can see the bump back up, and then you can see it coming down again, and then coming off another piece of my medication and going back down again. And now I'm doing right around 125 over 75 or so. It seems to be about the average. Um, and I'm hoping to be off medication completely by the time I reach the 1 year mark on the diet.
And I mean, those are some awesome results. I mean, let me just say, like, the A1C dropping so much and, you know, getting off the medication and, um, what about your activity level? Has anything changed with that? And is that, a conscious decision, or, is that just something you've found that you do more of?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Activity level, I picked up um, where I'm now. more active. I'm more active in things that I'm doing at work. I'm more active in things I'm doing at the house. Um, Both me and the wife have picked up some hobbies. She started making some jewelry and stuff. Was getting into some stuff. Of course, YouTube has become a passion of mine that I've spent a lot of time on. And that can be overwhelming, so, as you're fully aware. Um, you know, we live out here in the East Tennessee um, uh, part of the state, right here in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. And we bought 15 acres of land with the intention of homesteading it, building a cabin on it. And the last few years have been a struggle for me because of the way I felt. But now I've got the energy to get out there and start cutting wood and get back to my running my sawmill and doing more activities outside, and so that we can hopefully get the main cabin built this coming year.
That's awesome. So, what's your eating like throughout the day? How many times are you eating, and what are the meals made up of?
Well, right now they're made up of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. But normally that's a pretty standard for us. We eat normally OMAD most days of the week. Occasionally we'll eat twice. Um, then it's beef, bacon, butter, eggs. That's always been the pretty much the standard. But we'll throw in some stuff, some shrimp every once in a while. We'll throw in some fried chicken. The wife makes fried chicken in lard. No seasoning, no nothing. Just fries the chicken in lard. It's absolutely amazing. It's really tasty. And we were doing that once a week up until I started this challenge. Um, you know, we eat a lot of sirloins and chuck steaks and stuff like that. We add butter to it to get our fat level up. Occasionally, I'll throw in some ribeyes. Obviously, they're the king of steaks, but they're also the most expensive of steaks. So we can't afford to eat them every day, but I would if I could. Um, Other than that, I drink water. I started drinking. I can't remember, there it is. I've been drinking these soda waters, the Topo Chico, and then mostly I drink water. I'll have coffee in the morning with heavy whipping cream. That's the only thing outside of water that I ever drink. And occasionally I'll have an unsweet tea or something, like if we go out to a restaurant or something, because I don't like drinking their water. So, I might as well have, if I'm gonna have something that tastes funny, I might as well have tea, right?
So, what's the eating out like around where you live? Do you go out often, and is it easy enough to just get steaks and things?
Um, no, we don't go out very often. We do have, a couple places that we don't mind going to that cook fairly clean. There's a restaurant that we go to that they have. It's called the Louisiana sirloin, but it comes out with butter, real butter. It's got some pepper and stuff in it, which doesn't bother me. Um, and so we'll have that. Um, Occasionally, if I'm out working and I'm hungry, I may stop at McDonald's or Wendy's and get some burger patties. I prefer Wendy's because they're better quality patties than McDonald's, but it just depends on where I'm at in my day. Um, but no, I try not to eat out very much. And honestly, you know, if I got steak, that's thawed out sitting here at the house ready to cook, I'd much rather come home and eat that than to go to some place and order a steak that probably won't be as good as something I can cook at home.
And most likely would be cooked in seed oils if you're out, right? It's
And most likely, but I do request that now. I just tell people I'm allergic to seed oils. Um, I have a reaction to them, which you do have a reaction to them. They cause inflammation of the body, cause my body to hurt. So that's definitely a reaction. So I just tell people I'm allergic to them. And for the most part, you can get the cooks to not use seed oils when they're cooking your food. I've even done that. I went into we have Waffle House. I don't know if you're familiar with the Waffle House, but um, they cook everything in seed oils on the flat grill. But I've got them to not cook my bacon or my eggs in seed oils, but just walking in there and saying, "Hey, please don't do that."
and they'll just swap over to cooking in butter or something like that for you.
Yeah, they're like, "Well, how do you want me to cook it?" I'm like, "Well, cook my bacon, and then I'll leave enough fat on the grill. Throw the eggs on there, and there you go." You know, you don't have to use they got these guys taught at Waffle House to use their little frying pans, and they fill it. I mean, they put a crap load of seed oil. You know, it's soybean oil. I've looked it up, and they have your eggs swimming in that stuff being cooked. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. Just use the flat grill, throw my bacon on there, cook my bacon. That'll leave enough fat on the grill for you. Throw my eggs on there, cook them up, flip them over just like you normally would, and you're good to go. And most of the cooks are very open to that. I've only had one where they were like, "Oh, I don't know if I could do that."
So, have you had any reaction from family or friends or colleagues about your new eating style?
So in the beginning, some people looked at me like I was crazy. I had some coworkers that thought, well, that's just crazy. That doesn't make any sense. And then I've had people tell me that that's gonna give you a heart attack, and you know, I've heard people say, well, I can't do that. That works for you, but it won't work for me. Um, and then I've had the other end of the spectrum. I got a couple coworkers at work that have been on the diet now for um, probably pushing almost a month and a half, 2 months, and have lost. I think Travis has lost 25, 30 pounds. You know, and then his wife has lost weight. And actually, that was the cool thing is I got a message the other day um, from her, probably 8, 9 o'clock at night, and she sent me a message telling me that she had gone to the doctor and she was no longer classified as diabetic, pre-diabetic, because she had gone to the doctor, and that was one of her whys. She started wanted to do the diet was they had said, hey, you're diabetic, you're gonna have to get on metformin and stuff, and that really freaked her out. So by getting on the diet, she's reduced her A1C, and they're like, hey, no, you're doing good, just keep it up. And so
That's
that's my non-scale
awesome.
victory. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So not only have you had such good results for yourself, it's filtering down,
Oh,
to
absolutely.
other people. Yeah. That
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah,
Wow.
I won't shut up about it. I share it with everybody. Whether you do it or not is your own choice. But you're not going to walk away not knowing what I'm doing. If you ask me, hey John, how'd you lose all that weight? Well, let me tell you, we got a story for you.
I mean, I think the thing that strikes me the most about that story is it's always good when you hear like, oh, someone listened to me and they went on the diet too and they lost some weight and they were so happy about that. But when you hear a story about someone reversing their diabetes, that's a whole nother level, right? Because
Yeah,
that's just life changing.
yeah. People think that they're on this road that diabetes is just something that's going to happen to everybody. Well, that's not true. That didn't happen, just 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Diabetes was unheard of, and now everybody has it. Kids have it. Adults have it. Type 2 diabetes is prevalent everywhere, and it's because of the diet we're eating. And it makes sense now that when I look back at it, at the time when I was consuming it, it didn't click in, but now looking back at it, it's like there's sugar in everything that we're consuming. They have all our food is processed. All of it is, it was been man-made, and it's all full of carbohydrates to the point where you can't get hardly anything at the store that doesn't have some sugar in it. You can't even get vitamins that you're not chewing. I mean, whoever took a vitamin because they thought it was sweet and tasty, right? But they put sugar in vitamins so that you're addicted to it. You know, so you're taking vitamins that you think is improving your health, but your blood sugar is up, and you end up taking medicine to deal with your blood sugar because everything you're consuming has this garbage in it. Um, and that's my frustration is it's everywhere, and people don't realize. I'm like, it's in everything. They're hiding it on every street corner, on every place you go. They got sugar there for you.
Yeah, and it's just about improving the bottom line for this small group of investors. That's all they care about.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
It's about the almighty dollar.
mm. Very, very, very sad that we've got to the point where we're basically compromising, knowingly or unknowingly, compromising the health of a global population for a, a small group of people making money.
Absolutely.
Paint a picture for me, please, John. Could you, like, what is your day to day like now relative to what it was before? Like, how I don't know, how difficult or how time consuming was your day before compared to how it is now with things like medications and stuff like that?
Well, there's a lot of difference between back then and now. If we go back far enough, and we go back to in about 2012, I I got this kick, and I was probably in the 340 360 range weight wise, and I said no, I got to get myself healthy, and so I started, counting calories. I got a fitness app. I got, on my cell phone, and I started, tracking everything I was eating. And we went out and bought an elliptical, and I started, just cranking out the elliptical, and I lost a lot of weight. I got down to about where I'm at right now. To tell you the truth, I was probably about just about the same weight at that point, and I was feeling good, and we were swimming, we were going to the local pool, and we were swimming every week, and was doing a lot of things to try to improve my health. We were out hiking the Sierra Mountains up in Nevada and California, and having a great time and losing this weight. And I went to my doctor, and I said, "Hey doc, um, I'm on this 80 milligrams of Lipitor for my cholesterol of statins." And I said, "Hey, can we reduce this? I've lost all this weight. Can we reduce this medication down, so I'm not taking so much of it? I don't think I need as much as I did, before I started losing all this weight." And the doctor said, "Hey, no problem." And he said, "Hey, let's do this." And he said, "Let me change you from Lipitor to Simvastatin." And so he put me on 40 milligrams of Simvastatin. And I said, okay. And I didn't really know much about the stuff at the time. This is back, before I really started delving into my own health and what I was taking. And so I started taking this medication. And about 2 3 weeks later, I started getting these major muscle cramps in my legs. And they would it would ball up, but I'd be laying in bed after, walking or going hiking or something. And you just get these major muscle spasms, and the whole leg and I'd have to stand up and stretch it out. And, it was enough to bring you, right down to almost tears. It hurt so bad. And this continued on and continued on. I talked to the doctor, and he was telling me, I probably wasn't getting enough electrolytes and needed to get more water and electrolytes. And so I was, trying Gatorade, which, now I know better than Gatorade doesn't really have any electrolytes. It's mostly just sugar. But um, so I just got to a point where I started doing things that would stop it from happening. And so I stopped walking. I stopped the elliptical. I stopped hiking. Couldn't swim because you'd be out trying to swim, and you get a leg cramp, and you could literally drown out there, right? So, and slowly but surely, I just started putting all the weight back on. And when I we flash forward a couple years, we moved to Tennessee, and um, I went to my doctor here, and well, let me back up. Flash forward a couple years and moved to Tennessee, and I was laying one night, and I was having this major muscle cramp, and I was like, something's wrong here. And so I was wondering, you know, what the side effects of my medicine are. I've been doing this for a couple years now, and it hit me that this really happened after I changed my cholesterol medicine. So I got on Google, and I said, okay, what's the side effects of simvastatin? And the number one side effect of simvastatin is it causes excessive eating. This is a fact. You can Google this. And the second side effect of simvastatin is it causes muscle aches and pains. And so I was like, well, that makes sense. I mean, I got on this medicine, and I've had these issues, and I put all this weight back on. And so I went to my doctor here in Tennessee and said, "Hey, I want to come off this medicine." And he hemmed and hawed about it, and he's like, "Well, I don't think that's really what it is." But finally, in the end, he knew I was serious enough about it that he's like, "Okay, we're going to try it, but if your cholesterol goes back up, we're going to have to put you on try you on a different medicine or so." And back in my head, I was like, "No, if this is what it is, I'm not taking this stuff ever again." But okay, doc, we'll agree. Sure, okay. And so I got off the medicine, and within a couple of weeks, I was already starting to notice that the cramping was going away. And it took several months to completely get to a point where it wasn't, a nightly event. And it's taken the last couple few years to get to a point where, um, it wasn't a major event. And then, of course, once I started Carnivore in March, that changed everything. The last of it went away, and I just get it every once in a while now. I'll get some tightness in the leg. It won't even cramp all the way. It'll just be you know um, some tightness, and I'll stretch it out, and it will go away. It doesn't hurt like it used to. So every like I said, every once in a while I may get a little tinge of it, but I I believe that that's damage that the drug did to my muscles that I'll probably never get away from completely. Um, so those are struggles that I was dealing with my health, and then as I pushed on and was getting back up to this to that 360 mark, or 345 is where I was when I started the diet, but I made it up to 360 at one point. Um, I was suffering. I remember building the little cabin addition that we built onto the trailer here, and I can remember laying over here on the floor, you know, just laying there going, God, uh, you gotta help me out here because this is absolutely kicking my butt. And it was a brutal time, trying to fulfill my duties that I wanted to get done around the house here, and and not feel like I was dying. So now, 8 months in, I'm a completely different person. It's night and day from where I felt before the diet to where I'm at now.
So no statins. Now, have you checked your cholesterol recently?
So my cholesterol was checked in July. Um, July 10th, I had all my lab work done, and my I don't have those numbers in front of me. I probably should have pulled them before here, but my my LDLs were a little elevated from a year prior, but not much. It was like 10 points or something like that. My HDLs were up a little bit, but they were up a little bit, and my triglycerides were dramatically down. I mean, we're talking. I was in high triple digit, triglycerides, and we were down to like 86, I think, in triglycerides over that period from you know I got tested in July of 22. I started the diet March of 23, and July of 23. You know, my triglyceride to HDL level was absolutely stellar. So, of course, the doctor still was looking at me like, your LDLs are high, and I'm like, yeah, but you know, everything else is fine. You know, and you know, she when I went to there, she tried pushing you. Well, you're gonna have to uh, consume Metamucil because you're not getting any fiber in your diet on this diet. And I'm like, no. And we had a big conversation on that. And then she uh she just didn't like that conversation anymore, and she couldn't get out of the room any faster. So and we haven't discussed it since then. And I'm actually hoping to find a another doctor, that's more ketogenic or metabolically healthy, understanding. But they're not easy to come by. Dr. Kim Berry's a doctor in Tennessee, but he's too far away and he's not taking any new patients. Otherwise, he'd be my favorite doctor.
Yeah. So I'm surprised though that with the focus on LDL, the doctor didn't again suggest you go back on a statin.
They brought it up. She brought it up, but I've made it very clear that I'm not going back on statins because of the muscle cramps and everything. There's no way that I will put myself through that again. So I don't even leave it up as an option. It's not going to happen.
Okay. And I guess they just make a note of what you've said in your file, so they're covering
Oh yeah.
themselves or whatever. Yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. The note in the file, is he is on this diet, eating only meat, and you know, yeah, I got the whole thing. And the funny thing about that is, if you go to the doctor, and you get your blood drawn and you get your labs done, once those labs come out, they normally call you within like 24 hours of that. It was a month and a half before she tried to call me because she didn't want to talk to me, and then we didn't discuss it. So then I just got a letter in the mail with my with the her write out saying this is what he's doing, so on and so forth. We'll relook at this at a future date. So but
yeah.
I'm healthy. I don't have any need to go see her. I'm feeling amazing. I only go to the doctor because I wasn't feeling good, and I'm not feeling bad. I don't see any need to go to see her.
Yeah. It's so interesting, like how doctors will focus in on that one number. Look at my HDL to triglyceride ratio, isn't it good? Yeah, but your LDL, and
Yeah.
just focusing on that one number, and it's like, this is the best I've ever felt in my life. Yeah, but your LDL. It's like there's no room for context. It's so strange.
And the LDL is only context only comes if you have all the rest of the metabolic health problems. So I've lost the weight, my blood pressure is getting under control, off medication, my triglycerides to HDL levels are stellar. I have all these things that are going in the right direction, but yet they get completely hung up on the LDL, and they don't even want to look at the fact that all the other factors that are more important, you know, are are getting better. No, we're going to look at LDLs, and we're going to focus in on that one. And I guess that's because they just spent the last 20 years pushing, been pushing that for what 20, 25 years, and you would think in 20, 25 years they would have actually had somebody that showed improvement by doing all that, and they don't. And but they keep pushing it on people.
Yeah, I mean, this is the funny thing, that how they get just the general public to buy into the nonsense is like, over the last 20 or 30 years, the diet advice hasn't worked, the medication advice hasn't worked, but still most people are out there going, yeah, it has to be a low fat diet, and it has to be high in this and high in fiber, and if your LDL's this, you need to take medication, and blah blah blah. It's like, but that's clearly not working.
Well, exactly. I remember as a kid in the early '80s when they came out with the food pyramid, and they started pushing out. It was probably in about second grade the first time I can ever remember that whole food pyramid. And these are the things that you eat on the pyramid and stuff. They've been pushing that since I was I don't know, what was I, 8 years old? 6, 7, 8 years old when all that came out. Here I am pushing 50. They've been doing this all this time, yet diabetes, heart attacks, dementia, Alzheimer's, all these things are escalating at rapid speeds, and none of it's got better in all this time. But yet everybody's been taught to eat this way, and yet their answer is well, people aren't doing it. They're just not eating properly. Well, people are eating properly. There's people who are eating whole food, vegan, vegetarian diets who are coming down with diabetes and heart attacks and everything. It's been a big misled lie, and they're so committed to it that they just can't give it up.
So, and on that point, we're the same age. I'll be 49 next month.
Hmm.
And when you think back to when you were 6, 7, 8 years old, when all this was kind of starting, when they were starting to push this stuff, no one looked like they do now, right? And no, like, you hardly heard about things like Alzheimer's and dementia, and people weren't dropping like flies. But it's just gradually, as we've grown up, it's got worse and worse, and people just accept, well, that's just part of life.
Yeah, I know it's absolutely crazy. You go back and look at a picture from 40 years ago on a busy street corner in say New York City, and you won't hardly find a fat person in the picture. You probably won't find one at all. And now if you took a picture on any street corner anywhere in America or anywhere in the world for that matter, probably, um, there's going to be several, if not many. And in America, there's going to be a lot. You know, just about everybody out there is going to be dealing with with their belly is over their belt line. You know, all the key signs of diabetes. You can see it every time I go outside and I walk. I go to the store or go to work. You know, you see it every day, and you're like, oh my goodness, that poor person. If they only knew. But yet you can only share for so much, and then until people start thinking you're crazy. But you know, it's absolutely insane. And then they come out with things that against it. Constantly trying to convince the people that no, no, no. Red meat causes diabetes. No, no, it doesn't. Red meat could never cause diabetes. There's no way you can link those two together.
All that hidden glucose in the red meat. It's just a nightmare, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's all that sugar in the meat. Yeah, sure. I've raised livestock and animals most of my life, and you know, people people love the grass fed, and that's fine. I understand their desire to have a quality product, but I'm telling you, nobody wants to go out and feed sugar to their cattle because it's not efficient. It's not cheap. Feeding grain. The people got this picture like they're just shoving grain down. The cattle's throat. For the last 90 days of its life. No, they put some out there, but they're still eating quite a bit of grass. Um, and there's no. You're not getting any glucose from red meat, and it's insane. I actually laugh at it because people are like, "Oh, I only buy grass fed beef." But every once in a while, I get some Wagyu, and you're like, Wagyu is grain fed beef, right? I mean, that's literally what it is. The Japanese, I believe, are the ones that came up with that, and it's literally high grain feed that leads to Wagyu beef. So, people don't even know what they're consuming half the time. They just believe the hype.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Japan, and I can say 100% it's not easy to get grass fed here
Oh, I'm
because
sure.
because the whole thing about the marbling and stuff that comes from the fact they're eating grain and they're getting
Yeah.
really fat and um yeah. So just to move the topic slightly, we talked about all the things that have improved for you health wise. What would you say is the biggest victory that you've had on carnivore that doesn't involve like something directly related to health?
The biggest victory on Carnivore that's not related to health. I mean, I think helping other people. Those are my biggest victories personally. Um, I've had several people that have helped them either get on the diet or and get started, um, and they've had positive improvements in their life. So those are my favorite victories. I love talking to people. Comments. In my YouTube or my Facebook communities where people have taken some advice and ran with it, and it's improved their life. Those are my favorite victories. um, I've had lots of non-scale victories in my life where you know I've got some color back in my beard, which is interesting. I think you actually did a video on that where you had some color back, and I think you actually got some hair that grew back on a bald spot, which is cool. Um, I recently, and this has just happened here in the last, I would say 30, 45 days. I don't no longer need reading glasses. I have these fold up reading glasses. I gotta remember my cameras, these fold up reading glasses that I carry around in my pocket so that if I get really fine print, you know, um, on a label, or if I'm at work and I need to read something, or if I want to lay down and read a book at night, I'd have to put on the glasses because I couldn't read because I couldn't focus on it. And like I said, in the last 30, 45 days, that's gone away. I can literally read, you know, unless it's really, really, really fine print. I don't need those glasses at all now. And I think it's still improving. Um, all, I sleep better. I wake up every morning now at 5 o'clock Eastern, and I listen to Dr. Kiltz's um, Power Hour at 5 o'clock. I start my day that every morning when at 5 o'clock. I never got out of bed before. If I didn't have to go to work, there was no getting out of bed till 9, 10, 11, maybe noon. You know, I wasn't starting my day until half the day was over. And now I wake up every morning at 5 o'clock. And even on my days off, I don't sleep in very much. I may, turn back over and go back to sleep and try to sleep until 6 or 7. But at that point I gotta get up, you know, and I gotta power the day.
Carnivore is great for productivity in that way, right? Like you just get so much time back in the day. You're sleeping less, you're feeling more awake when you are awake. You're not spending so much time in the kitchen or the supermarket or whatever. It's just you claw back
I,
so much time.
I'm working on, projects here at the house. I'm working on stuff on my YouTube channel. My brain is constantly working on like 3 things at once. I'm working on, putting together a couple of ebooks. Um, I'm working on, I took a promotion at work, and I'm now the outside part salesman for the truck dealership I work for. And so I'm out pushing and building, sales for the company, and I'm doing all this, and my brain is like, just like, give me more things to do. We want more things to do. You know, it's it's like constantly working in the background, saying, "Hey, what else can we do today?"
Yeah, I kind of describe that as this thing on Carnivore where you're always ready. It's always like, what's next? What's next? Okay, next one. Check it off the list. Next one. You know.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So the mind just works so much better this way that it's hard to describe.
So can you talk a little bit about your channel, please, John? What are you where how can people find your channel and also what kind of content are you putting out?
So my channel is Carnivore Backwoods. Um, I live off grid in the East Tennessee, foothills of the Smoky Mountains here. We bought this property going on, I guess, 3 years ago. Um, Initially, we bought a 9.5 acre property that we're on right here, and then I bought another piece of property next to it, which gives me just under 15 acres of total wooded land. It was completely wooded, undeveloped, and we um, we had a guy come in with what they call a forestry mulcher, and we cleared off a third of an acre. We moved up here with a camper trailer, and have been living out here off grid. I use solar for all my power needs. We use rainwater collection for most of our water needs, but I use spring water for cooking and coffee making. Um, so the initial plan of the channel, and at the time it was called Smoky Mountain Outdoors, was to document the the living out here off grid. And I toyed with it. I've been going back and forth on this for 2 years. I've created a few videos, but you know nothing really good. And it was just kind of like this thing that I wanted to do, but I just couldn't keep my brain focused on it long enough to actually do anything positive with it. Um, so after being on the diet for several months, in late July, I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm gonna rebrand my channel, and I'm gonna come up with a new name for it, and I'm gonna start putting some videos out about carnivore, about documenting my health journey and my journey on the carnivore diet. And so um, my initial videos, I think I was sitting in the car waiting on my wife to get off work. And I did a little bit there, and then I did some videos outside, and then it progressed to where I'm at now. So the primary focus of the channel since July has been carnivore, but the ultimate goal of the channel is to be carnivore and sustainable living off grid. That's my vision of my niche of YouTube. So I'm going to do videos that are carnivore related, And then I'm going to do videos that tie carnivore into off-grid living, like, cooking with cast iron pans, and, canning, and we're going to do some stuff on making lard. We did a video on making, our coffee that we use, with heavy whipping cream. Um, and I'm going to, do that back and forth focus between carnivore and off-grid living. I'm going to do videos about my solar system and my rainwater collection system. So there's a bunch of stuff that I have, envisioned, to go on over the next year, as I build my channel. I just reached 1,000 subscribers this week, so I'm super excited about that. I'm like 500 hours from hitting my first mark on the watch hours, and of course 1,500 from hitting the second one. So I'm excited about that. Um, my big thing on there is I do interview like you. I do interviews with other carnivores, and I call that my Carnivore Life series. And I go in there and we'll have a conversation, talk about their journey on the diet, and then once a week, every Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern, I have my Carnivore Roundtable, which has become a regular event, regular scheduled. Everybody knows at 1 o'clock on Sunday, and I get myself and four other carnivores together for a roundtable, and it's other YouTube creators. I've had Carnivore Soldier, I've had JT, the Poco Moonshine family, uh, Mike Shaw TV, several other people, the Carnivore Trucker, but I've also been able to get some doctors on there. I had Dr. Tony Hampton, who came on our channel for a roundtable. That was a really nice live stream. We had Dr. Robert Kiltz, on here recently for a Carnivore roundtable, and that was a good video and a good time. A lot of good questions answered. I have Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, the optometrist, scheduled for in December to be on a Carnivore roundtable. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm reached out to as many people as I can, and invite them to come on. I like having different viewpoints of the diet on there, so we can have a roundtable. Everybody comes equally together and we have a discussion, and we don't all have to agree, but we can all be on the same diet together. Does that make sense?
And I really like that about this is one thing that I really like about the carnivore community. We don't always have to agree on everything, but we've all got this one shared kind of vision, or it's this one shared movement, and we're all moving together. And again, I
Yeah,
really like
and
that.
even my wife is she doesn't do 100% carnivore. She still eats some vegetables from time to time, especially if we go out. She'll have a salad or something. I got some followers. Becky from up in Oregon, she's keto, ketovore, um, and she's come on the channel and been on for the Carnivore Roundtable. Um, she comes in and chats in there on a regular basis. It's great to have all these different opinions on there and different views, but it helps the audience understand that it's the simplicity of it, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. But once you get this figured out and you get your health under control and you're losing the weight, there's things that you can do that you may be able to branch back out and eat some of these more normal whole foods, right? It's not a complete elimination diet for the rest of your life if you don't need it to be. I don't personally care. I never liked eating vegetables in the first place, so it doesn't break my heart to get rid of them.
Yeah, same. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey with us today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm excited to be on here. It's like I hit the big time. I love your channel. I've been watching your channel for a long time.
Cheers.